Can I? I don't want to be offensive, but can I see your Bible?
24, verse 10 and 11.
Can I see your Bible?
King James. King James.
Let him see it, man.
No, I've been respectful.
24, verse 10.
24:10.
You want to read it? Read it yourself.
Son of a. So I don't know what the word Israelitish is coming from. I don't think that's something we have in.
Okay, so what is an Israelite?
An Israelite is a descendant of Israel, is somebody who's adopted who's been brought in as a prophet.
Okay, so what Israelitish mean?
His father was an Egyptian.
Let me make it easy for you.
He said he was.
What's blue? Blue is a base color, right? What's bluish?
8997.
But I don't.
Similar to blue, but not blue.
My code.
Israelitish would be similar to an Israelite, but
So
not
I'm not familiar with this particular.
You're not
verse.
familiar with the vernacular, but I'm explaining it.
Well, I'm used to reading this in Hebrew, not in English, and I think you're in translation that I'm just not familiar with. So I apologize for that.
You know, that's fine. You don't have to apologize for that. But refinish that.
And the son of an Israelitish woman, whose father was an Egyptian, went out among the children of Israel.
So notice there's a distinction. His father was an Egyptian, went out amongst the children of Israel. So this is full Israelite and an Israelitish person. Go ahead.
And this son of the Israelitish woman.
Notice it constantly mentions Israelitish because it's using that to get to the point of the story. Go ahead.
The son of this Israelitish woman and a man of Israel strove together
So
in the
notice
camp.
the distinction. The son of the Israelitish woman and the men of Israel. There's a distinction between them.
So just again, this is the King James Bible. I mean,
we could read it in another.
It sounds like,
it'll
but
be
so
the same
King
thing.
James Bible is a translation of the Septuagint, which is Greek, which is a translation of the original Hebrew. So
Right.
I'm not familiar with the translation that you're dealing with.
So you don't understand it in English.
The idea of Israelitish, someone who's half Israelite and half not, is not something that's familiar to me.
All right.
So I think that's.
So let's change the term. So read it as Jew.
And the son of a Jewish woman,
It makes more sense.
whose father
I don't know if
was an
Because
Egyptian.
Judah is an Israelite, is he not?
Judah is the son of Israel.
Israel, which would make him an Israelite. Of Israel, I-T-E, right?
Sure.
That's the suffix on it. Sure. So Israelitish.
I don't know what Israelite is. I'm not trying to be.
Okay.
I'm not trying to be difficult.
again, we'll
I've
stick with
never heard
Jewish.
that term before.
So
Before
we'll
today,
stick
I've
with
never
Jewish.
heard that before.
So what's the difference between a Jew and Jewish? Why is there the distinction in the word?
Jewish is an English suffix that has no basis in our religion or anything.
It has an English suffix, right? Okay, great.
It's just
so we're
that's
dealing with
something that we
English.
talk about in English.
Are you familiar with the 1980 almanac, Jewish almanac?
No.
Okay, hold that real quick. I want
I
to read
don't know-
something
I
to
don't
you
know
real
what
quick.
that is.
I took an excerpt from the 1980 Jewish almanac.
Okay.
It talks about the distinctions between Jews and Israelites.
Interesting.
It's ironic too. The book was $10. It's now $16,000, which is strange.
I've never heard of that book before.
That's all right. I'll read it to
Abba.
you. Right. So where is it? Okay, let me get to that. So it's the 1980 Jewish almanac, right? It's page 3, right? And the title is A Brief History of the Terms for Jew. It says, strictly speaking, it is incorrect to call an Israelite a Jew or to call a contemporary Jew an Israelite. So a Jew and an Israelite are not one and the same, according to the Jewish almanac.
I don't disagree with that.
It says, or a Hebrew, right? This is the first Hebrews may have not been Jews at all. Well, the original Hebrews weren't Jews because it wasn't designated yet, right? Judah wasn't born yet. From Eva, right?
Sure.
Here we go with that.
Abraham,
Okay,
yeah.
good. Right? It says may not have been Jews at all. And
You know
contemporary
my head.
Palestinians, by their own definition of the term Palestine, it's going to do you know what I mean? It's going to do a yada, yada, yada. I'm going to skip.
I don't know what a yada,
yada.
yada.
All right. I'll leave
Now
it.
you're talking Seinfeld. That's super Jewish.
Well, the word yada is in Hebrew also.
Guys, I've got to go meet my friends. I'm sorry, but I appreciate
but
your
let's-
time.
So
I
let's
appreciate
put it
your
this
time.
way. I appreciate yours as well. The Israelites are the children of the Bible. The Jewish is a designation that's later. That's contemporary. Israelites and Jewish people are not one and the same. So when we say Israelites, we're referring to the origin back to the Torah. When we say Jews, that came much later. That wasn't. When was the first time Jew was mentioned in the Kings, in the Book of Kings, or Esther? That's the first time Jews were ever mentioned. The designation.
It depends what you mean by designation. of Jews.
Israelites are patrilineal by the Father. The original people of the book.
Disagree with that.
You disagree with it, but you don't know the whole story of the Israelites.
Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with. But anyway, guys, I appreciate your devotion to the Word of God, and I appreciate you taking your day out here to spread what you're spreading. And thank you. And I hope I haven't offended you.
You said 1,500 years ago, y'all were in Israel. That's not true. 1,500 years ago, y'all were conquering us through the Dark Ages. And there's two different distinctions. You call yourself Israeli or Jewish.
I didn't call myself
Now, I'm going to tell you something. The word Israelite The word Israelite means children of Jacob. Israelis are modern day Jews. From what time period? From 1948, when all the governments of the world got together and pushed y'all into our land. Look up the Balfour Agreement.
I know the Balfour
Then that's how you became a Jew.
1917.
Not 15 years ago. Y'all only been in Israel about 74 years.
No, I said I could trace my.
You can't trace that back. You can trace yourself back to a cave, though. In Mount Seir, Caucasus Mountains.
Sir,
you can do that.
Have a great day.
No,
Thank
I'm just
you,
saying.
guys. Have a good day.
I'm just saying. Don't say things that you don't know. Because you know that you wasn't a Jew. Your people wasn't here 1,500 years ago as a Jew.
I agree to disagree, but have a good day.
No, you can agree to disagree.
So that's how the European is.
Go ahead.
That's how
No,
he
you
is.
finish. I just want
He
to.
will not say. He will not say the truth. He will not stand up for the truth. He will beat around the bush. Okay? And he won't give you a straight answer.
Northern Kingdom,
He'll try to confuse you.
they
Okay?
into
He'll
it.
try to abuse you. That's his nature, man. Because he's the serpent, he's the devil that the Bible speaks of, man. And that's straight up.
Give 'em
Man.
both.
And we ain't backing down from none of them, man. Because we got the truth. And we know these people, man. Okay? They're the wicked that the Bible speaks of, man. Okay? Christ only came for one people. And that's you so-called blacks, West Indians, and Puerto Ricans, North American Indians, Seminole Indians, Argentinian, Brazilians, and Mexicans. Okay? You are the true people of the Heavenly Father. And you are the people that He came back to teach and to bring out of captivity for breaking His laws. Okay? Give me Matthews 1:21. Who did Christ come by? Who did Christ die for? Did He die for everybody? No, He did not. He only died for the 12 tribes of Israel, man. We're going to read that now. Read. 21.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 1, verse 21. And she shall bring forth a son.
Who's the she? The she is Mary. The she is Mary, a black woman, so-called black woman. Read.
And thou shalt call his name Jesus.
Thou shalt call his name Jesus, the son that she had. Read.
For he shall save his people from their sins.
His people. Who is Christ's people? The 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, man. Give me Hebrews 7 and 14. Who is Christ's people? For he shall save his people from their sins.
That's
not
right.
everybody.
That's
not
right.
the so-called white man.
That's
okay,
right.
not the East Indian.
That's
not the
right.
Chinese or the Japanese.
That's
Bring it out.
Okay? But the so-called black people, man. That's who he came to save. Read.
It's the book of Hebrews, chapter 7, verse 14. For it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah, for of which tribe Moses spake nothing concerning priesthood.
Okay? So it is evident that Christ came from the tribe of Judah. Who is Judah? The so-called black man in North, Central, and South America. We are the Jews that the Bible speaks of.
That's
We're
right.
not black people.
Bring it
We're
out.
not African people. We're not Afro-American people. We're not individuals. Okay? We are the Hebrew Israelites, and from now on, that's how you're going to address us.
That's right.
Okay, we ain't taking that black crap from y'all no more. We know who we are today. And with all that said, I'm going to bring up the next powerful speaker.
Hallelujah. We losing it.
All praises. The elder spoke powerfully in the spirit. Once again, we are the Hebrew Israelites,
That's right.
the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
That's right.
We are not converts to this religion called Judaism. We are the ethnic Jews, the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and his son Jacob.
That's right.
Now, according to the Bible, give me on Jeremiah 28:8. According to the Bible, this place, you know, as America, is known as Mystery Babylon. And this place has a certain judgment that's coming for it.
That's right.
Read it when you got it. Because we're not the prosperity preachers out here coming to pray before the White House. right? We're not here coming in front of the White House to pray for America, to pray for everybody, to hold hands with everybody. We come out here for our people, for the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans of Negroid and Indian descent.
Bring it out.
We're not here for everyone.
That's right.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 28, verse 8. The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms, of war and of evil and of pestilence.
That's right. And we're doing the same thing because the spirits of the prophets are subject to the prophets. So we have to come out here and prophesy the downfall of kingdoms, nations. We're not here saying another 50 years of America. We're saying if America goes down tomorrow, all praises to the Most High.
That's right.
Right? You can jump ahead to Jeremiah chapter 50.
That's
verse
right,
6.
brother. Bring it out.
Right? And that's what we're prophesying, the death and destruction of this wicked kingdom where the blood of the Israelites soil this ground.
That's right.
They came over here, slaughtered the Native Americans.
That's right.
They brought the so-called African Americans here via slave ship. Now the prophet Jeremiah prophesies that the nation of Israel and the nation of Judah was held in captivity together. Where can you find this in the scriptures? It's not there. So this has to be a future prophecy. And this prophecy is being fulfilled here.
Bring it out.
Jeremiah 50, verse 6. My people have been lost sheep.
And our people are lost sheep. You ask a black man what's his nationality, he doesn't know. You ask a so-called Hispanic, he'll say he is Hispanic. That means property of Spain.
That's right.
You ask a Native American, they'll call themselves an Indian. And Indian just means savage. This is what it means. His people are lost sheep. Go on.
Their shepherds have caused them to go astray.
And our shepherds have caused us to go astray. You got the T.D. Jakes, the Creflo Dollars,
That's right.
you name them. All of them are preaching for profit. None of them are teaching the words in this Bible. T.D. Jakes said he has to get $1 million before he breaks down the book of Daniel. He wants $1 million from his congregation to break down the book of Daniel. This is preaching for profit. This is what it means that their shepherds have led them astray.
That's right.
They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from the mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place.
And this is us. We go from mountain to hill. You got a black man calling himself a Muslim. You got a black man saying he's Commission. You got a black man saying he's a Christian. You got a black man saying he's Buddhist. But the Most High didn't call you any of these titles. The Most High called you by one name. He called you the Prince of the Power with God and with man. In other words, Israel. We don't know the power in our name. YASHARALAH. He, Prince, Power. That's our name. We are the princes of the earth. We are the rulers of this earth.
All that found them have devoured them.
And everywhere that we go, everyone has devoured us. No one has said, let's put these people back into their land. Because earlier we had the fake Jewish guy come up here, and we look at them as an example. When they were oppressed by Hitler, you had the whole world come together, give them their own piece of land, autonomy, and gave them self-government. But now look at us, the so-called black people, who are in captivity in America. No one said, let's set them apart, let's give them their own land, let's give them their own freedom. Why is that? Because everyone that sees us takes advantage of us. They use us. Because every nation, every great empire that was built on the backs of the Israelites, on the blood, sweat, and tears of the Israelites. We see in Egypt, that's where the nation of Israel was formed. We was in captivity there. We see Babylon. We went into captivity in Babylon. We see the Assyrians. We went into captivity by the Assyrians. We see the Greeks. We were in captivity to the Greeks. We see the Romans. We were in captivity to the Romans. Everywhere that all these great nations use the Israelites to build their nations. But what happens after we leave these nations? The Most High comes through and topple that nation. Why? Because we're here to bring these judgments as the scriptures say, to all these nations. Continue.
As their adversary said, we offend not, because they have sinned against the Lord.
And that's what the white man is saying today. He's saying we have offend not, because they have sinned against the Lord. The Most High gave us the laws, the statutes, and the commandments. He didn't give it to these other nations. Hey, sister, you know your nationality according to the Bible? You don't know your nationality, sister? Nah, you don't? You care to know your nationality? If I would ask you, what would you call yourself? Black? Is there a country called Black? Can you take a jet plane to the land of Black? Come learn your nationality, sister. This is our people. You can drop that. Give me Proverbs 1, verse 21. Right? This is the state of our people. We have now gotten to the point where we can't say we're just ignorant. Now we are willfully ignorant. Because the people that are teaching you come out here not for our own sakes, but for your sakes. To teach you your nationality, to teach you your relationship with your power. But you don't care. You just want to live your best life in the land of your enemies. Well, guess what? You're going to die in the land of your enemies. Never knowing your nationality. Bring it out when you got it.
Proverbs 1:21. She cried in the chief place.
Verse 20. And this is the wisdom. This is the wisdom. The scriptures, the law, statutes, and commandments. You can hold that for 1 second. Go to 3 and 5. Proverbs 3 and 5. This is your wisdom. Because our people are always want to do their own thing. They want to be wise in their own eyes. They want to be following their own conceits, their own thoughts. Well, the Most High chose fit to raise up some men to teach you your nationality. Go on.
Proverbs 3 verse 5. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart.
So the scriptures say we're to trust in the Most High with all our hearts. Go on.
And lean not unto thine own understanding.
And we're not to lean to our own understanding. Because if you leave it to our people, we'll tell you everything. We'll tell you that the earth is this big ball hurtling through space at 1,000 miles an hour.
88.
So I get
88,000.
88,000 miles an hour. But we can't feel a thing. If we leave it to the so-called white man, he'll tell you we evolved from apes. We were swinging from trees. This is why the Most High say, bring that part again. Verse 3 and 5.
Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding.
And lean not to your own understanding. You have Jesus, who you call Jesus, he said you have to come back as babes. He said you have to be born again. This is what it's talking about. You got to admit that you know nothing. That all your information that you got or that you think you got, you received from the hands of your enemies. Now, how can that be beneficial to your enemies to give you valid information? This just doesn't make sense. We have to come back as a babe. We have to come back and admit we know nothing. And the Most High, Jesus also said that you can't pour new wine into an old bottle. You're not going to hold this unless you let go of all that information you had before.
That's right.
Right? Lean not, go on.
In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths.
And he said, and in all our ways we should acknowledge him. Hey sister, you know your nationality according to the Bible? Where are you from, sister, if you don't mind me asking?
California.
You're from California. Like your father was born over here? California?
No, my father was born in Belize.
In Belize, all praises, me too. I'm from Belize too, right? So you're Belizean, right? So most likely you would be from the tribe of Benjamin, sister. You are Israelite according to the Bible. You have, but there comes responsibility with it. Like you're an American, right? You're an American citizen. There's certain responsibilities. You know, you can't just ride through a red light. You can't, there's certain laws that come with it, right? It's the same thing. You're an Israelite, there's laws that you have to keep, sister. All right, all praises. Right? Go back to that.
In all thy ways acknowledge him,
That's right.
and he shall direct thy paths.
So we're supposed to acknowledge the Most High in all of our ways. And he's going to direct our path. Next verse.
Be not wise in thine own eyes.
And this is a big problem with our people. We are wise in our own eyes. We think we know it all. I got my PhD. No, you got a piece of paper and a whole lot of debt. That's what you have. That's all you have. Go on.
And he shall direct thy path. No.
Be not wise.
Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil.
It said, be not wise in your own eyes. Fear the Most High and depart from evil. Go back to Proverbs 1. And this is what we're telling our people. We can't be wise in our own eyes. We can't be wise in our own deceit. We follow in our own heart, in our own thoughts, our own mind. What has that gotten us? That has gotten us the civil rights movement, the Jim Crow era, and now we right back to being called niggas in the street.
That's right.
Getting killed in the street. Every few weeks, you got another sacrifice of your people. Every few weeks, another black body dead in the streets. You got this devil who drive 8 hours to go to shoot up a grocery store because he found out that's the area with the largest demographic of black people close to him. This is what leaning on your own understanding gets you.
That's
right. Go on, bring that back. 1 and 20.
Proverbs 1:20. Wisdom cry without.
And this is the wisdom. Go on.
She uttered her voice in the streets.
It didn't say that the wisdom is going to utter its voice in the churches, in the mosque. It says it's going to utter its voice in the streets. Go on.
Yeah.
She cried in the chief place of concord.
And the White House is a chief place of concord. You got all these devils from all over the world who come over here. Go on.
In the opening of the gates.
In the opening of the gates. We right here at the front of the gates. What are we saying?
In the city she uttered her words.
And in the city, this wisdom is speaking his words. What is this, the word saying?
How long, ye simple ones?
How long, you simple ones? How long, you so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Americans? How long, you simple ones?
Will ye love simplicity?
How long you gonna love simplicity? How long you gonna love getting killed in the street? How long are you gonna love being the next Trayvon Martin, the next George Floyd, the next Tamir Rice? How long are you gonna love this? What if the next one is your brother and your sister? What if the next one is your mother and your father? How long are you gonna love this? Go on.
And the scorners delight in their scorning.
And all the people who walk by mocking this word, they love that scorning. Go on.
And fools hate knowledge.
And all the fools hate knowledge. This is the knowledge of the world. This is the knowledge of the Most High. This isn't.
What's your code?
1941. 1949.
No, I'm gonna leave it right there.
Right? This is the wisdom of the Most High. This is, the fools hate this knowledge. The fool in his heart said there's no God, so he rejects this and he goes about his business.
That's right.
Go on. We got more on there.
Turn you at my reproof.
And we're here telling our people to turn at the reproof. This is
Facebook?
Nah, it was on YouTube. I'll restart it. Go on.
Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you.
And the Most High said, if you turn at his counsel, he will pour his spirit out onto you.
That's right.
It don't get more plainer than that. This is plain as day. If you listen to the Most High, he will pour out his spirit onto you. Go on.
I will make known my words unto you.
And he's not, so if you don't listen to him, you don't know his words. I know people who've been in the Christian church for 40 years who don't know where the book of Habakkuk is. How can you say that this is the word of God if you don't know where the words are in his book? Go on.
Because I have called and ye refuse.
So because the Most High is called and you refuse,
I have stretched out my hand and no man regarded.
And the Most High has been stretching out his hands to the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and no man regarded.
Right.
Just a few come out here to try to wake our people up. Keep going, we're going to go all the way down.
But ye have set at not all my counsel.
And we said, to hell with what the Most High got to say. To hell with that Bible, man. That Bible is a white man book. That Bible been, how they say, the Bible been tampered with. They love to come up with every excuse under the sun to not read this Bible. Go on.
And with none of my reproof.
And because you won't do none of his reproofs, go on.
I also will laugh at your comedy.
So the Most High said, because you won't listen to his instructions, you won't turn to his reproofs, he will laugh at your calamity.
Let him take it till you open it up. Come on. Come, open. Go ahead. Just speak. Just speak real quick.
Where were you at? Read that again.
But ye have set at naught all my counsel.
So the Most High tried to counsel his people. He tried to give you understanding. He tried to give you an understanding of the word, but you didn't take to his counsel. You didn't listen to what he had to say. You would not correct your behavior. Go ahead.
And with none of my reproof.
And would not take any correction. Any correction that comes out of the Bible, people don't want it. The majority of the Christians know everything Paul said, but not a word Christ said. You never hear anyone quote Christ. They talk about him, but they don't quote him. They quote Paul. This is why Paul said, is Christ divided? Was Paul sacrificed for you? No, he did not get sacrificed for you, but you quote Paul as if he's the Messiah. You don't take correction nor counsel. Go ahead.
I also will laugh at your calamity.
So the Most High saying, because you did this, because you reject my word, because you reject my instructions, I will laugh at your calamity.
That's right.
Meaning, when everything around you is getting destroyed, when heartache is coming to your family, because you rejected God, he said he will laugh when that happens. This is not the same God most of you know, because the God you know is hearsay. It comes from rumors. It's word of mouth. It's not word of the book. Go ahead.
I will mock when your fear cometh.
And I will mock when your fear cometh.
When your fear cometh as desolation, and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish cometh upon you, then shall they call upon me.
And this is what's coming to America. Bring that precept again back. Bring that back again, please. Right? Because this is what's coming to America. It's destructions. You look across the world, you got famine, you got drought, you got great rivers and lakes and bodies of waters drying up. This is what's coming to the world. Go on.
When your fear cometh as desolation, and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish cometh upon you,
when distress and anguish cometh upon you, go on.
Then shall they call upon me.
Then you're going to say, oh God, please God help me. But what's the Most High going to say?
But I will not answer.
But the Most High is not going to answer you. Go on.
They shall seek me early.
You're going to be looking everywhere for the men of the Lord. You're going to be, what's that verse I heard the brother out on the street reading? You're going to be looking for these instructions. But what's going to happen?
But they shall not find me.
But you're not going to find the Most High. He's going to turn his back on you. Go on.
For that they hated knowledge.
Because you hate knowledge.
That's right.
The so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans hate knowledge.
That's right.
This is the nature of our people. We hate knowledge. We want to believe this is how I see it. Go on.
And did not choose the fear of the Lord. They were none of my counsel. They despised all my reproof.
And all the people, the nation of Israel, don't take the Most High's counsel.
That's right.
They don't want to hear his correction. Go on.
Therefore shall they eat of the fruit of their own way.
And that's what the Most High said. So if you want to go and do your own thing, you don't want to do what he says, you're going to eat the fruit of your own ways. What's the fruit of your own ways? That's the death and destruction that's coming to this place. Go on.
And be filled with their own devices.
And you're going to be filled with it. You're going to have so much destruction around you, you're going to be like, please, God, take this away.
For the turning away of the simple shall slay them. And the prosperity of fools shall destroy them.
And the turning away of the simple is going to slay them. Because they turned us away, it's going to cause us to die. And the prosperity of fools, because they think they're living so good in this crap hole known as America, it's going to lead them to their own destruction.
That's right.
Bring that, my last verse out.
But whoso hearken unto me shall dwell safely.
But whosoever listen to the words of the Most High is going to dwell safely.
And shall be quiet from fear of evil.
And they're not going to worry about this fear of evil. And with that, I'm going to pass it on to the next speaker. I was almost done already.
Shalom, King.
You go to James chapter 2, verse 5.
Shalom, shalom. The brother spoke well in the spirit. We're going to continue to teach who the Israelites are. Right? Let's go to James chapter 2 and verse 5. Read it when you get it. So the Most High, when he made his decision, when he chose particular groups of people. He chose from a particular demographic in every single nation. Right? Because when you deal with the Bible, the Most High deals with them. We're going to read that. James chapter 2 and verse 5.
James 2 verse 5. Hearken, my beloved brethren, hath not God chosen the poor of this world?
So notice he said, hearken, my beloved brethren, hath not God chose the poor of this world? So if I were to ask, economically, where do black people stand amongst the rest of the nation? We're poor. If I were to ask most of the Hispanics in Peru and all the Americans in those countries where they stand against the rest of the world, they're poor. If we dealt with the natives who are original of this land, they have nothing left. They're poor. So when you look all around the world, the Most High just told you, he chose the poor of this world. He didn't choose the rich. He did not choose the well-off. He said he chose the poor. Read that again, James 2 and 5.
James 2 verse 5. Hearken, my beloved brethren.
So he's saying, hearken, my beloved brethren. This is what James, whose name is Jacob, is saying. Listen, go ahead.
Hath not God chosen the poor of this world, rich in faith?
So he chose the poor of this world, right? All over. The poor of this world. Rich in faith, right? That's where the money lies with the poor, in their faith, because they have nothing else. Everything external is taken from them. So he said, I chose the poor of this world, rich in faith. You notice many people who are well off or well-to-do have very minimal faith. There's a lack in God. The more educated you become, the further you get away from God. Have you noticed that? You're educated into the world and from God. That's what your education does. You get all the accolades, but spiritually, you're condensed. You become harder. You become more of a shell. But when things are taken from you, the first thing you say at the sight of a calamity is, oh God. All of a sudden, you're spiritual again because your heart is contrite. But God said he chose the poor in this world, rich in spirit. When you watch the movies and you see the poor blacks in the movies, they always go to the black people for spirituality. Can you give me a word? Could you sing a song in the background? Oh, I lost my kid, I lost my husband, I need you to sing a song. When you see the rappers and all on TV or the singers, they have a choir behind them. Because we are not only the poorest people amongst the planet, but the most spiritual. He chose the poor of this world, rich in faith, go ahead,
and heirs of the kingdom which he hath promised to them that love him.
And heirs of the kingdom. Notice that. The poor of this world who are rich in faith are heirs of the kingdom. So what does that tell you about society teaching you to become rich? What does that say about capitalism? What does that say about education? Because you get the education to attain carnal things, not to get knowledge. You don't get you don't go to school just to get knowledge. You do it to attain carnal things. You do it to become less spiritual and you don't realize it. You do it so you can prove that you're not chosen amongst God. It is okay to get an education, but in getting your education and you lose your spirituality, you lose everything. That's right. Because the poor of the world, rich in faith, are heirs to the kingdom. But we have to get more specific than that because there's poor people everywhere. Not every poor person is chosen by the Most High God.
That's right.
But he's very particular in who he chooses, right? In all nations, right? I saw a couple of Hindus go by, right? Same thing that happened in India happened here, right? They have a caste system in India, right? And the people that are pushed out are called the Dalit, right? The black people in America are the Dalit in America, right? The dark skin, the unwanted, right? You're pushed to menial jobs. You have to clean the street. You have to tend to the cows. That's what the Dalit do in India. That's what the black people had to do in America. Also what happened is you have In 1972, because the Dalit saw what was happening with the black people in America, they created the Dalit Panthers, mimicking what they said happened to their brothers in the United States. What's also funny, where the majority of the Dalit are, in Maharashtra and Kerala, where the synagogues are, they were Israelites that were there from the time of Shalmaneser, and after the Second Temple, they said they came that way. So there's Israelites scattered throughout the world, and ironically, they're poor. We just read in James 2:5, he chose the poor of this world. So these Dalits are poor, right? What do? Sweep the dust of the ground, right? That's where they are, at the bottom. Give me Psalms 119, the letter D, if it's in there, if it breaks that down. So it's funny when you hear Dalit, right? Those are the unwanted in India, right? They're at the dust of the ground, right? They're poor, they're nothing. They're meant, they clean the streets, the women are raped, and the Dalits are lynched in India, just like the black people in America. It's still happening today, but for some reason it's always a suicide. Recently, a black man was hung and burned alive, and they said it was a suicide. So that, I would like to see that feat. You hang yourself and then burn yourself. That's a suicide, according to police now.
And he was tied up.
And tied up. So he's a magician also in his death, right? Psalms 119, right? So listen to this. We just talked about the Dalit, right? Who are the Israelites in India, right? So in the Bible, when you go to Psalms chapter 119 and verse 25, it's called Daleth. The Dalit in India, the black people in America, Psalms 119 and 125 is called Daleth, right? When you change the vowels, it's Dalith. It's the same word. Because remember, all the words before were in abjad. They were just consonants. There were no vowels, so it's the same word. Dalith, Daleth. Read Psalms 119 and 119 and 25. But remember, the Dalit had to clean the streets. The black people had to clean the streets. Menial jobs, farmers, leather workers, same thing. 119 and verse 25.